Okay, there we go.
Varian's in the green room, probably trying to find the M&Ms.
Oh. And the secret stash of Druna comics in the corner.
Yeah, wow.
There you go.
Yeah, no, because like JD recently got a Milo Manera collection from Lloyd's. And yeah, that's some trippy stuff.
It's brilliant. Good science fiction stuff, Druna. Yeah. Excellent artwork. What a painter. What an artist that guy is. He's absolutely super.
I mean, what I find really funny though is how like the Milo Manera book, it's like unless you knew who Milo Manera was and actually was able to flip through the book, but if you were just judging it from the cover and you didn't know who it was, there's nothing on that cover that says that, oh, you're in for a time. If
you're in for some adult literature,
right? Especially that last story. So
you must have seen the manga stuff in Japan. That's really violent, isn't it? Those stuff,
right? Yeah, and it's like, and still though, it's like it's not like they come with warnings. Like I have a couple of questionable manga in my collection that has like no warnings on it. Like you just have to know.
Well, I just keep with Akira. I've just read Akira. That's
right. Yeah.
Stay with the classics.
Yeah, and it's just really funny because it's like in the United States, it's like I'm always paranoid as to like, oh, should I mention something? Should I say something? Do I have to put something on the cover?
A friend of mine lived in Japan for a while, and about 10 years, and he said that he was first time he got on the subway there, he was amazed that it was all the businessmen and people like that reading these comics, and then he bought a couple and he thought, wow, this is why they're reading it. They're really sexually violent and also guys.
What you're into, I guess.
Guess that's the Japanese. I don't know many.
Well, I mean, but for clarity's sake, it's like not every comic there is all hentai and stuff. No. They literally have comics about businessmen, about tennis, about baseball.
I just kept to Akira, which I got those on the Marvel reprints in the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just that artwork is just brilliant. That's the kind of artwork that makes me want to throw my pencil in the bin.
It's because I think that Otomo, I think he started off as an architect, which explains a lot.
Right. Yeah. Great buildings, aren't they? Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. But do they work in studios like the old American things where there's 15 people there working on different parts?
I'm not sure.
I think it all depends upon the individual and the work. Some of it's studio done, some of it's very personal.
Yeah. Because then I watched a documentary about, well, it wasn't a documentary. It was just like a little thing about Junji Ito. And as far as I could tell from the setup that he works alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I know all of Nausicaa was done by Miyazaki. The manga was.
Yeah.
Right.
And he just did that.
Yeah, that stuff is incredible. I mean, deep and political and just everything. You can tell it's very personal work.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's and absolutely gorgeous. I mean, that's the work that's like, snap. What am I doing this for?
the manga version of that, it's one of my favorite comics of all time. Just amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And it's in like 4 really big volumes.
Yeah.
They seem
I don't know when the last time it was reprinted, but it's not often enough. That's for sure.
The output seems to be on a tremendous scale as well.
Yes.
The way that, you see these people, or you see the volumes, and they are massive volumes of things. And you wouldn't. This is why I asked about the team doing it rather than individual, because they're zipping through those. I mean, we always talk about Jack Kirby drawing a lot of pages and 5 and 6 pages a day, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But these guys must be doing about 20 pages a day. I don't know.
I have to ask GD about this. He about an interview about a guy from the United States who went to Japan to do manga, and he said that he only did it for like 2 years, but he said the experience destroyed him physically.
Wow.
Because it's like we're talking about like he was 2 years on 3 hours of sleep, meetings at all hours of the day and night. It's like it was a grueling schedule.
I'd probably get through that because I never sleep. Probably okay.
Well, I mean, it's one thing when you can't sleep on your own, but when you're being called by editors at like 3 in the morning because they figured out how to do, you should do this panel better.
Well, if they're paying you, that's what you've got to do, what they say.
I guess,
Come on in, folks. Don't be afraid. We're here. This is the Sunday Funnies for the 3rd of January, 2021. Somebody's calling. And you're welcome aboard. We're going to be talking probably English comics today. If I'm sure we're going to stray off the subject pretty often. And you're welcome to come on in. Varian, are you alive?
I am.
That's good.
Okay. So everybody come on in. Marv's in the house right now. He says, hello.
Hello.
I was waiting for the live stream on YouTube. I had to be on Facebook because I wasn't able to see there. How are you today? We're good.
We're good. Yeah, we're good. Starting the new year on hopefully a good foot.
Yeah. He says, I love Japan. I want to live there after retirement. The TV shows suck, but it's beautiful to see the countryside.
Yeah.
No, England has the best countryside.
I was it's kind of that fight. Definitely.
If you go about 50 miles north of where I am to the Lake District, you'll see
just an hour away.
Just an hour away. Yeah, I was trying to avoid saying that. It did cross my mind.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Well, here in Michigan, we try to get we were getting a lot of the film industry for quite a while because we have such a range of scenery, especially being surrounded by the Great Lakes.
Right.
So there's some great scenery up here.
You know the first Captain America film with Chris Evans in?
Mm-hmm.
Some of that was filmed near me because the buildings are similar to New York in the 40s.
Oh, that's funny.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then Chris Evans, this silly bloke running around with a silly suit on, there's 4,000 people watching him. So, but then again, he laughed all the way to the bank, so that's okay.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Chemo Crypto, Happy New Year to y'all. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much. Thanks. Happy New Year, Marv.
We can say that about the first weekend.
Yeah.
There are a few videos on YouTube about the life of manga artists, and it's sick. Slavery is the word to express.
No, yeah,
it can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, listen to this. Just you said we might digress.
Digress away.
Yeah, I found out yesterday, or heard yesterday, somebody said on the TV that slavery was abolished in Britain in something like, I don't know, 1830 or something, but it was only illegal past 2010, 10 years ago. It was only illegal.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's a bit
yeah,
scary.
we're kind of funky like that over here too.
Yeah. and, the older you get, the more you realize that nobody knows what the hell's going on.
Yeah,
well, a lot of things are assumed also and not written.
Yeah.
So you always assume that slavery is illegal, but sometimes anymore, especially, you have to go through, coffee is hot. You have to go through and spell it out for everybody.
Yeah.
Up until about 10, I think it was 10, maybe 15 years ago, one of the last years that Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor in California, necrophilia was legal.
Oh.
Yeah, it's little things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's certain things that we already think is illegal, like because it's a given, and then there's things like that that's like, oh, you got to spell that out, don't you?
Maybe you better. Yeah.
I mean, it shows you what state we're in, because we think it should be. It's a moral thing, isn't it? So if they've got to spell it out for the people who don't have that kind of mentality.
It's like do not use toaster in bathtub type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes no means no.
Yeah. I worked for a sign company, but Europe's largest sign company, health and safety signs and things like that. And I used to laugh every day because I'd be doing the artwork for a sign that was to be stuck on the side of a pylon, electric pylon. Do you have a pylon? The electricity lines. And it said, this sign had a guy like a lightning bolt and a guy like that, and it said, "Danger of death."
Yeah. No. You have to spell it out.
I thought, who climbs that?
Oh,
who doesn't know that? But the people have to cover themselves in case some idiot does it and they get sued.
That's it exactly. Yeah, that's it exactly.
Because what it is like those types of things. It's like they're not there for smart people.
No.
They're there for the lowest common denominator, you know, because really some people they're a danger to themselves, you know.
Yes, remember the average.
I don't mind that bit, but it's when they're a danger to me that I worry about.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's
sorry, Randy, go ahead.
You have to remember that the average person is only average.
Yeah,
that's only halfway.
Yeah.
There's a whole other half out there.
Something
both directions. Yeah.
Something I worked out a long time ago. This common sense thing. It's clearly not. There's no such thing as common sense because nobody's got it. You know, somebody must have some if it's common. You know, but they don't. Anyway,
hey everybody, come on in. Come on in. Marv says Portugal is the first country in the world to abolish slavery, but we were one of the biggest dealers in history. Yeah.
Right. And then the ironic thing is that Brazil was the last country to ban it. So your colonies, your colony, it's like you, mother country first, but your colonies were the last.
Well, that applies to us, I think, as well. Everybody's going crazy over here because England's fine. Well, keep saying England. I'm English. I live in England. Britain's finally out of Europe.
Yes,
we left on New Year's Eve, and everybody's going batshit crazy. Well, most people are going. Well, not most. A few people are going batshit crazy. The ones who the Ramonas, as they're called, they wanted to stay. And now apparently France want to get out.
Well, you know, it's like everybody. I don't know. Everybody wants their money back, I guess.
Yeah, but you're out, but you're not really out because
right.
of all the trading restrictions and rules and stuff. You might as well just have stayed in. It's like, why are you leaving? Well, we're going to fix it so that you know you're leaving. We'll give you the same problems you had when you wanted to leave.
Well, all we have to do is say, okay, we're not going to buy anything from you.
Yeah,
we'll buy it from you guys.
Right. Well,
but then again, Biden won't let us, but Trump would have done. So there you go.
You know,
we're all going to build back better, baby.
It's always the great experiment.
Yep.
The more things change, the more they remain the same.
Time's a flat circle.
Flat circle, pretty true. And again, folks, you're listening to the Sunday Funnies for the 3rd of January, 2021.
You did not accidentally tune into CNN.
You're not tuned into CNN, yes. We're going to run the opening, and then we'll do introductions, and we'll get this show on the road. And maybe Varian will wake up enough to turn on his camera.
No, he's just in bed, and he just has the phone like this.
He probably is.
No, I'm not in bed. I'm having a rough morning, so no cameras for me today.
There we go.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Here we go. Here's the opening. Hey, everybody. Welcome back in. I'm your host, Randy Zimmerman. I'm a longtime independent and alternative comics creator and have done everything that you can imagine in the comics market. My current specialty is doing sequential artwork for commercial and advertising and educational purposes because it pays so much better. But I also have the Zimm Geek channel over on YouTube. Please go over there, like and subscribe. Zimm Geek, ZIMMGEEK, all one word. And I'm also part of the Indie Volt radio network. And you'll be hearing a lot more or seeing, hopefully, a lot more of my products here in the upcoming year as I hope to get back into the direct market and get some funny books out there that people can enjoy. With me today is Daphne Lage. Daphne, how you doing?
Hi, good morning. Yeah.
Morning.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I am a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I am the artist of the funny animal fantasy Tall Tales and the fantasy drama Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, premiering tomorrow at noon on Kickstarter, just in case I haven't been talking about it enough.
There we go.
You can check out my work and sign up for updates at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS.com, and my YouTube channel at Daphne Lage, LAGE Art.
Now, is there an early sign up for that?
Yeah, I do have. Yeah, if you go to my website, there is a link to the pre-launch page, so that when you sign up there, Kickstarter will send you a notification when I finally hit that launch button.
Cool. Also with me today is my co-host, normally the host of Indie Volt Network, is Varian Grant. Varian, how you doing?
Hanging in there. Had a rough morning about 5 a.m. I woke up. I didn't feel that well, and things got worse. So
buddy.
I don't know if it was well, the wife's been having like a stomach bug for the last like 2-3 days.
Oh, guess whose turn it is now?
Yeah, I think it's my turn. So after waking the whole family up with my retching, I finally got put back to bed, and as long as I'm having a rough morning, yeah.
Little ginger ale, warm ginger ale should calm you down.
Yeah. We got Vernus here in Michigan. It's one of those. It's our cure-all for everything.
Yeah, medicinal cure-all. Yeah, it's been for years, decades.
Yeah. It's like you got brain cancer, drink some Vernus.
That's probably what gave it you.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I'll try it.
It's a ginger ale aged in barrels by gnomes.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, everybody out there. I'm Varian Grant, founder of Indie Volt Media LLC. Started making comics in 2008. What else? Yeah. Founder of Liberty Entertainment Distribution, which today is my is my frame, because there's no me. They don't get to my pretty face this morning, but you get to see Belle instead. And then also Last Call Comics is my publishing company. And that's I'm here this morning to talk about funny books, which I have a funny story too, Randy. You're gonna love it. In regards to actual newspaper funnies.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's have Glenn introduce himself first, and then we'll bring that around.
Hi, I'm Glenn Fleming. I'm from England. I'm a writer, artist, painter, filmmaker, publisher. I've written 10 books. They're all on Amazon. There's varying I don't know what you call it, genre to write from, to look at. I write about 2 books about JFK assassination. I've written an adult humor book, a children's book, a couple of science fiction novels, a sports book, and several other things. But I'm currently publishing Comics Unlimited, which is a magazine about comics all over the world. Issue 4 is out next week or the week after, maybe. I've also published a Golden Age special, which takes what it says on the tin, 1938 to 1956, which I believe is the Golden Age of comics. All these magazines are 100 pages, full color. They're all on Amazon. They're all waiting for you. And recently, I just published another magazine called Super Spies and Secret Agents, which is the same thing. It's a look at all the the Man from U.N.C.L.E. and James Bond and all this kind of stuff. So check them out if you can. Check them out. I'm also releasing next month an updated version of my Jack Kirby film. I won't call it a documentary because it's my journey to him rather than an overview of his life. But he does talk on it for about 35 minutes or so, a film I took while I was there. And I'm updating that with some other pieces of film that I left out the first version for various reasons, but I can put in now. So that should be out next week.
Cool.
And I'm writing other things. I've got a couple of science fiction novels on the go, another sports book, and a book about New York, which Daphne might be interested in.
Sure, yeah.
So that's about it. I'm quite busy. Looking forward to
it. And by the way, don't joke about him, did you climb Mount Everest? Because he'll say no, but still send you a photo of him at a Himalayan base camp.
That's not a base camp. That was on the peak. That was on the top. Not a base camp.
Oh, no, not Everest. That's that other mountain over there.
Anybody can get to the base camp. So yeah, I like to travel as well. So I wrote a book, published a book last year about my trip to Easter Island, Rapa Nui. That's 200 pages, complete with photographs and stuff like that. That's some. If you can get there, it's an amazing place. It'll freak you out, but it's just amazing.
Yeah,
it's the remotest inhabited place on Earth, and it's just 7 miles wide. It's brilliant. So that's it.
Great. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Happy New Year.
So you're kicking out a magazine about every month.
Yeah, that's getting that way. Yeah, I've just recruited our friend Russ Leach to do me the cover for issue 5, which is going to be fantastic because he's the John Buscema artist in these. It's great work. I've got the issue 4 is on sale next week, and it's got John Floyd, who's a Marvel and DC inker. He usually inks on Barry Windsor Smith's. He's written me an article about Joe Sinnott.
Okay.
The inker who just died recently, and photographs of that, and there's some artwork in there. Yeah, and he's drawn me a cover as well. He's drawn Joe on the cover, so it's good. Yeah, but yeah, it's getting to the point where I'm getting a bit concerned about articles now because I'm putting that many magazines out. I think I should rein myself in a bit.
No pressure.
Yeah,
no pressure.
No.
I don't sleep too much, so I only 2 hours a day. So I've got.
You do all the production work on the magazines anyway. So.
Yeah, I do everything on it. I do the design work and do the pages and try and write some articles. As I've said to you, Randy, I'm busy putting other people's work out there rather than my own. But that's the way it goes. But I'm enjoying writing another science fiction, 2 science fiction novels I'm writing, and I don't get writer's block. I just do something else.
Yeah,
I don't believe in writer's block.
Yeah,
you should have more than one idea. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
I think that's how truly productive people feel. Anyway, I'm sure Stephen King's working on 5 novels at once.
Of course. Well, I did read about Stephen King. Apparently, Christmas Day is the only day he doesn't do any work. He types something. It might be the grocery list, but he does something every day, and that's what I do. I just put ideas down and plots, and a lot of them don't go anywhere. But that's what creative people do, isn't it? The only thing I'm not doing.
What else are we doing?
The only thing I'm not doing so much these days is actually drawing anything. I'm a bit disappointed with that. I'm going to have to remedy that, I think, because I just enjoy it. Scratching that pencil across the paper is just wonderful.
I hear you. Yep.
It's all good.
All right, Varian, your story?
Oh, well, it came about, I was sitting with some people. This happened about, about a year ago, right? A little bit before, around this time last year, actually. I was sitting with some people, and we were discussing comics and comic strips, and I was telling them about a documentary I'd watched about the comic artist from the New York Times. And I picked up a book with strips from the New York Times. I go to these bookstores and I buy these.
I'm sure you're talking the New Yorker.
The New York, I'm saying the New York.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, because I was kind of wondering. It's like, wow, because I couldn't remember the last time I saw the New York comic strips in the New York Times.
Yeah, I was going to say that would be a very, very short documentary.
Yeah,
the New Yorker, but there was I picked up a book about it too. Some of the strips that have run in the New Yorker, and we got to talking about the strips, and one of the guys I was with, and it's funny because we're sitting in the library, and he says, man, these strip artists in the paper, they're really not that good. And I'm like, listen, first of all, you got to understand, I've done a strip in a newspaper. Coming up with that gag is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard work. I mean, you have to fit the gag in there. And, I was hard enough for me to do it once a month. You're talking about once a week, every day. Yeah, once a day. It's almost impossible so you have to give these people their respect. And I found also, as I was doing a little tipsy strip that was named the strip, that simplicity started to be key, because so you started noticing, it was really cool. You would notice how I would break things down. All of a sudden, I wasn't giving Tipsy these super detailed eyes anymore. They became these like little black dots.
Yeah. And
while it was cute, it was done for me to simplify it. Anyway, though,
that's a lesson I learned from reading about C.C. Beck.
Right.
Beck went from advertising art to Captain Marvel for Fawcett, from doing illustrations for magazines and pulp magazine. And he figured out really quick that simplicity was not just the key, but it worked out so much better with color comics because it left a lot of wide open area for color to go in.
Yeah, I learned that lesson from Wally Wood and Mobius.
Yeah, and it was for me. It was like, I understand why they're doing this now. I understand why there's not all these little buttons, because if you look at the first Tipsy strip, where it started versus where they got to, the style changed, but it was because of simplicity. Now, the other interesting thing about that is that while we're up there, my buddy says, "Dude, I do not like these strips. They don't look good. Spider-Man looks crappy."
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about there's a guy over next to us, and he kind of giggle snorts, and people listen to your conversation all the time. You don't think anything about it, but it was an older guy, and he looks at the shirt. He says,
"Tell me it was Alex Suviak."
No, he starts joking with us about artwork and comic
He's
strip.
the guy that does the Spider-Man strip, by the way.
Yeah, and he's just this guy. I can tell this guy knows about comic book art,
mm-hmm.
and he's talking about strips. And I'm like, when I was a kid, I didn't like Prince Valiant because I thought it was too smart for me. I didn't understand the gag. Like, I thought it was
there is no gag.
Yeah, gag. Right. There's no gag is the gag. And so I'm reading it. So the guy's like, talking to us, and then it's funny. He says, well, I'm glad you got appreciation for the artwork, he tells me. And he tells my buddy, he says, you really ought to, give the comic stuff a chance while they're still around. And the guy, he says, oh, well, here, if you ever want to, he has his card. And his name is Neil Rubin. And he did the art for Gil Thorpe.
Oh, yeah.
In 2004. Mm-hmm. I think he said he was the third or fourth artist, but he's right here in Farmington, Michigan.
Really?
Yeah. So
wow.
I remember my buddy swallowing like his pride, like, at that point
you got to swallow hard too.
And I remember thinking like, "Oh man, this is great." And the thing about it too is I found this card very recently, so I'm gonna reach out to him and see if I can get him on the show at some point.
He'd be awesome to have on this show just to talk about his work. Yeah.
This being in comics and doing the and doing that strip every week, but
every week, every day. I don't know how often Gil Thorpe comes out. I know it used to be every day.
It's the same documentary that I saw. I mean, it's like you would see these artists go into that office with like a stack of drawings like this, and like if they're lucky, maybe two of them.
Yeah.
The editor, I think I don't know if it was like Jules Pfeiffer at the time or whatnot, would even like work on these two.
Yeah.
It's like, so even then it's like the amount of work you have to do just to get one gag that works.
Mm-hmm. I noticed in that documentary, Daphne, they never really talked about, I guess it's not professional, how much they were actually getting paid. Because were two strips enough to pay that month's mortgage? You start to wonder. I mean, I hope it was.
Well, I know New Yorker was pretty prestigious. I think that was top dollar.
Yeah.
For the strip. I'm not sure how much they got
now. Yeah. I mean, because I know like back in the day, I mean, those guys were superstars, it's like they would end up on David Letterman and stuff like that. It's like, but nowadays I don't think I don't think it's the same thing anymore.
No.
Cameron at Ashley says, Daphne's my relative.
What?
Daphne's my relative. Good morning. I'm
his comic book auntie. That's what it is.
Excuse me for a minute. I think he's going to check ancestry. He might be.
Oh.
There's everyone's.
Brian Langley says Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's, Brian. Yeah, but it's funny though. I thought when I thought about that story, it reminded me of be careful who you're speaking to, and I've choked on that several times. I've learned, especially at comic book conventions,
I learned that lesson. Well, I learned it the hard way, but not hard enough that I would regret it. Like it got me into trouble, but just enough to remind me: do not, talk poorly about people at conventions.
Yeah.
You don't know who knows who.
Yeah.
And I would tell my story, but I know for a fact you especially will get offended. So I'll tell you.
Doesn't that apply to every walk of life?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
No,
I
can say this story specifically would offend.
Right, okay. I'm going to say, which is why you should just say what you think, because everybody else doesn't.
But never bad talk anybody.
What you've got to remember, Daphne, is that you can't give offense. People only take offense.
Well, I don't know, because if I told this story, it's like, nah, I'm giving it.
I recall.
No, I'm putting on a platter.
I recall on
I'm arranging it.
I recall a couple of. I recall Randy and very few people on this show have a kind thing to say about a proprietor of another website.
It could be anybody.
Yeah. And there's another website, and
Nobody in particular. Go ahead.
And people usually say, "I don't like this individual." And the site he started, he's been around for years, like a long time. I think he started at a comic book company. But anyway,
has he been around, or did he think he was around?
He's been around. Well, yeah. And he's one of
all depends on who you're talking about.
He's one of Glenn's, I believe. He's one of Glenn's countrymen. But we had somebody on the show who says, "Well, I like them. They helped me. This person helped me beyond belief, and I like them." And you would have thought Randy was going to say, "Oh, okay, well, I'll stand down." Nope. In fact, Randy says, "I don't give a damn. I don't like him." It was on the show. It was live. It was the best ever. Randy, I don't give a damn. I don't like him. I don't like him, and he's a sellout. But it was really cool. That was one of those cool moments where Randy stood his ground, and usually he does. But even in the face of someone saying, "I like this person," Randy was like, "Nope, I don't care."
Well, I've done that too. Because it's like, you know what? Just because someone's nice to you, that's kind of irrelevant to me. What it means is that, okay, I won't bash them in front of you, but I still feel the way I do about them. So
yeah. It's because you're nice to one person doesn't,
right? Exactly. Ted Bundy didn't murder everybody.
Yeah, I'm sure he said thank you more than once. So yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I've learned that a friend of mine actually sold he had this guy came to his table and was looking at his artwork and was really drawn to this Ninja Turtles piece he had. And he said he kind of felt like the guy was trying to get the Ninja Turtle piece for free. And he said, because the guy just kept sitting there talking about it. Yeah, Ninja Turtles, that. Like, oh, great. I got a TMNT fanboy at my table. I'm just kind of start ignoring him. And he's drawing at the moment too. I should add that in. He's drawing a commission. And the guy's like, okay, well, how much for that? And he's like, you know what? Just to get the guy from his table, he says, $10. And normally it's printed 20. And I said, okay, not a problem. And so he says he reaches down, he grabs the print, puts it in one of his bags, and looks up, and it's Kevin Eastman.
See, that's why you can't do that.
I'll cut you a discount and just get away from the table.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, can I get a picture with you? Now your tone has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I used to look up every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I think I've done that several times to Stan Sakai.
Well, see, now Stan was incredibly good to me. So I took him. I walked up with my sketchbook, and he looked at me and goes, "Randy, you want a sketch? Give me your book."
I mean, no, he's the nicest guy, but this is what happens when you don't look up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish Jack Kirby would have drawn me a cartoon when I was at his house.
There we go.
Yeah.
He didn't mention it, neither did I. I was going to ask him that. I just let him talk.
Yeah, I from what I understand, Glenn, they said that Roz was really his protector later on. Like
I could imagine.
Yeah, she because he would say, "Oh, take some more. Go ahead, get on."
No, there was none of that. I'm not sure whether I've said this before on this program, but when I went the first time, we went into this room and he just received a load of artwork from DC and Marvel that he hadn't seen since he drew it. And Ross said to me, there's a big pile of these envelopes, and she told me what it was, and she said, open some. And I was opening stuff for Kid Colt and all this sort of stuff from the early 60s, and some Fantastic Four pages, Cap pages, all this kind of thing. And I couldn't, apart from the fact that I was stunned to be in his house and in his company, I was opening envelopes and pulling out artwork that he hadn't touched since he put it in the envelope, type of thing, 40, 50 years ago. And the cover for Hunger Dogs, that's oil. There's like an oil painting by is it Greg Theakston?
Mm-hmm.
I think he did the painting. I wanted to ask Jack. I meant to ask him when I was going out. I thought of it to ask him whether the actual artwork was painted, and I forgot. And then I opened one of these envelopes, and there was the pencil work for that cover. So obviously, Greg had lightboxed it or whatever he'd done with it. But I held that, and it was all smudged and everything. But not on the drawing, but on the top where the title would be, and it was all smudged. And I like that kind of reality thing. Like when people post the original artwork online, and you can see all the white out, the paste out stuff that the corrections. I like that kind of thing. I think that's why it looks good. Which is why, or one of the reasons why, I prefer to use paper and pencil rather than a computer, because you get rid of all that, and it's like a CD. It's too pristine. The sound is too sharp and too perfect, and I don't think that works. That's just my opinion, but plus I like holding that pencil and feeling it on the board and getting those colored inks on brushes, and I just like all that stuff.
And then you had to crawl under the kitchen table and tell Roz you needed a minute as you went silently.
She was great. I mean Jack was great, but Roz Kirby, I'll never stop saying this. She was one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen, and she was really, really nice. But I couldn't help thinking that this lady, you don't want to cross this lady with regards to Jack and his work, because you could see that she just let him get on with it for 50 years, just sit in that room and draw, and I'll take care of the kids and the bills and whatever, paying the bills and all that. And she was a fantastic woman, but she was the woman you want on your side. Yeah. You don't want to play against her, She was tremendous, and Jack was brilliant. He kept. I didn't speak for an hour when I was there. I couldn't speak, and he kept asking me who I was, and this kind of thing, and sort of trying to bring me into the conversation because I couldn't make a noise.
He's probably trying to loosen you up. Yeah, come on, kid. I'm just a normal dude. Come on.
But the thing was, I was 33 at the time. I wasn't 15. I was 33.
Yeah,
you're still awestruck. Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can hear all this on the film. Buy the film and listen to it. By the way, Randy, have you watched it yet?
No, I have not. I keep trying to cut some time, and
I
haven't done it. So, but I will.
I'm 38, and you guys still refer to me as a kid.
Because you're a baby.
I'm old enough to be your dad, Varian.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all of us are old enough to be, cranky ass family members at your Thanksgiving dinner. That's we're all sitting in the corner.
I'll tell you this: the scary, serious realization for me is that I'm now older than my dad was. My dad is the younger man.
Mm-hmm.
That's the scary thing. But there you go. Hopefully, I've got 50 years left.
Well, the cool stuff I love, especially when you do comic history, is to realize that Kirby was 50 when he started the Fantastic Four. He was 60 when he started the New Gods. Peters, who did Wonder Woman, when Marston found him, you'd never imagine that Peters 61.
Wow.
Never too late.
when he started Wonder Woman. This is a business that you never have to retire from, and a lot of us don't. A lot of us end up dying at the board, or after doing an assignment or whatever. So
that's right. So, but that isn't that what you play that Kirby thing? Comics will break your ruin your life or something.
It'll break your heart.
Comics will break your heart. Yeah,
yeah, that's the one. Yeah, but I think he did quite well, Kirby. I don't go with this.
After a long struggle. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. He was selling. He was making split. He was sharing $500 a week in 1941 with Captain America. That's a lot of money.
That's very true. Back then, that was hard money. Yeah.
Yeah. You see, I don't subscribe to this. There's this quote that goes around with Kirby that he was just trying to feed his family. Well, we're all trying to feed our families, but as I said at the Q&A when I premiered my film, he fed them very well. They weren't.
I'm sure that there were times there during the 50s when it was really touch and go, when he was trying to sell stuff to RT and just move anything anywhere. I think he literally had his tail between his legs when he went back to Marvel, because he left it such a bad with Martin Goodman. He left on such bad terms with Martin. He's back there going, "You got any work? You got any work?" And at that point with freelancers, it really took a bit of begging. Well, especially once the Code Authority came in and the numbers for comics dropped through the floor.
Yeah.
Well, I think what it is that I guess you don't subscribe to the idea of Kirby as this absolute tragic figure.
No.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more. Yeah. A lot of people had it rougher. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I said this on the Q&A as well. It's like with the Beatles. I mean, the Beatles made millions of pounds, tens and tens of millions of pounds, a lot of money. So they're not starving. Mm-hmm. But the thing I always point out is that they were ripped off big time. Mm-hmm. And the same way I think Kirby is ripped off in a way, and he should be. His family should be billionaires, or at least million. I don't know what the settlement was. I would imagine it was more than $50.
I understand I understand it was 10 mil with a good royalty program.
Well, that's great. Yeah. It's 10 million more than they had. It's fantastic. Yeah. But it's just a shame that wasn't resolved while Jack was alive. But it couldn't be, could it?
Yeah.
It couldn't be, because if it would have been resolved, I think it would have been in favor of him. That would have been the only way it could have been resolved, I think. I mean, I don't know the legalities of things and all that, the copyrights and all that sort of stuff. It's such a murky area, but
yes, very.
I think he had a good life. I think he did well. I think he worked hard. Mm-hmm. But I was talking to my wife Helen about this the other day. I think that Kirby was one of those kind of people that when that line went down, it was right. That's why he could produce so much work in a day, because I don't know about you, but I'm erasing things and changing the idea and different angle. He didn't do that. I often say that people ask me how I draw, how do I get my ideas, so how do I do it? I said, well, I don't know. It's from the universe, it's from God, or whatever you want to call it. But the hardest thing, the most difficult thing, is to get that image in my head down my arm. Mm-hmm. But I think that people like Kirby got it right first time. That line was right first time, so he didn't have to go back and erase or change that leg or whatever. And sometimes, as you've seen in his art, he should have gone back and changed that leg, because it's not quite right, But
right. But after a couple of thousand pages,
that's right.
You sit there and see it already on the paper before you put your pencil on it.
That's right.
You're almost tracing out of your mind.
Roz said that to me. She said she used to watch him draw, and it was like he was tracing it, because he didn't look up from the board. He worked left to right. He just went all the way down the page, and then it'd take him an hour or so, and then he'd pick up that page and get a fresh page and just carry on and just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. That's why he was so good.
Yeah, that absolute confidence of line. Yeah, I've only seen it in very few people.
Yeah, he just gets it down. And the other thing is that not only did he have the ability and the talent to do that what he put down was fantastic as well. Yeah. Plus all the ideas he brought. All that it must have been amazing for Stan Lee to get that package off him and open those pages, because I read somewhere that Joe Sinnott, when he was inking the Fantastic Four and those stuff in the 60s, he would he would lose an hour's pay because he would just look at the artwork, the Kirby artwork. He would just look at it, and his day, his first hour of his day, and he wasn't doing any work. He was just looking at that artwork. Can you imagine what just getting all that stuff? It's just incredible.
But again, that probably helped him out with his inking too, because he was sitting there looking at it and visualizing how it's going to look inked. Yeah. So he was really working, even though he wasn't physically inking the page.
Yeah. But I don't know how many pages he was. I think I think Joe Sinnott was doing 2 or 3 pages a day. I think, wasn't he, at the time? Yeah. I think they were all knocking it out, weren't they? I mean, but it was fantastic work. It's the best work, you know. Mm-hmm. And I'm just privileged that I got to meet him twice. I went twice. Mm-hmm. I like to do things twice, you know. It's good. That's why I'm going back up Everest again. I've got to get up there again.
Getting closer and closer.
No, I was at the top there. It was that monolith that threw me when I got there. I just wondered what the hell that was doing there. So
really quick, Marvy in the chat asked Randy, "Can you talk about the music intro?" No, I can't.
Yeah, we keep getting copyright struck for it. So
no, Marv, that's a free to use site. It took me a day snooping around trying to find the exact attitude music that I wanted for the opening, and the wife tells me I hit the nail on the head. So with the type of lightheartedness that we want on this show.
Is it a ukulele? I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
being played in a ukulele. Yeah,
just a nice lighthearted up piece. Yeah. And there is a larger. It is just one chunk of a much larger piece of music, but that works. Cameron says, "Hope I'm joking." The magazine is beautiful. Marv says, "Yep, I'm sure he's talking about Comics Unlimited." Excuse me for a minute, Cameron. I guess just had to excuse himself and step out. Question: how do you manage time? I'm writing 2 stories, doing my comic, got a day job, jealous wife.
That
drawing. How do you do it?
I do it with the fact that Helen, my wife, she's an artist too. So generally, if I'm doing something, she's doing something. So we don't sort of, and of course, if I'm not doing anything at the time and she wants to do some work, I won't stop her, and she doesn't stop me. I think that's one of the reasons why it works so well, because we're both artists. She's got an exhibition. She's a ceramic artist. She's got an exhibition coming up in the summer. It should have been last summer, but because of COVID and all that kind of thing. Yeah. We've got a great location for it in the center of the city. It's absolutely fantastic, and we're looking forward to that. And she's busy now doing some work, some more ceramic work. She's a far better artist than I am. She'll laugh at I tell her, but she laughs. But it's true. It's true. Her work is far superior to mine. Which doesn't mean mine's any good, but you know what I mean? I'm just saying she's great. But she draws as well, and she does everything. She's a good writer as well. She's good. She's even good at doing voiceovers as well. She does all my voiceovers.
Sweet.
She's got a great voice. She's got a voice like Joanna Lumley, really, sexy, British. You know what I mean? And so I said to her, she said to me, "How do you want me to do this?" I said, "Do it in your Joanna Lumley voice." And she says, "I always do it in my Joanna Lumley voice." I said, "Well, keep doing that one, then it's good." She's good.
There you go. But it's really funny how that conversation, especially this week, for some reason, kept coming up about the I guess like the creatively incompatible spouse, to put it kindly,
delicately.
And it's just really weird to hear those stories. Like there was a story recently about this guy where it's like he couldn't do like he had to ask his wife for permission to work on his stuff.
No, you can't do
and
that.
It's like, what is that? Like, I literally can't relate. I mean, it's just like, how do you function? It's like, because it's like with me and JD, I guess it's just easy because it's like we're both doing our own thing. So it's like, I go in the office, I start working, and he'll stay, watching TV or whatever. But when he goes into the basement to work, I mean, I don't see him until he climbs back out again. It's like it just never occurs to me to like go downstairs and go, "Hi, haven't you been working a little bit too hard today?" And it's like leave me alone. I'm working.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got to let people get on with it. You know,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
encourage people all the time. People ask me, you see, people ask me how you write. Well, I don't know. I just do it. But I always maintain that if I start to write something, I never write less than 2,000 words. And some people couldn't write 2,000 words in a year. Now,
Yeah.
that's not what they do. But to me, it's easy. I mean, it's not easy in the way that you understand what I mean. I get the impulse to write, so I write, and I'll write at least 2,000 words. And it might not make any sense, and it usually doesn't. But you know what I mean. But I just do it, and I don't know how I do it, because my nephew a few years ago, he said to me, "How do you write a book?" I said, "Well, what you do is you get an idea, you get your plot, and you get a beginning, middle, and end, not necessarily in that order, and you sit down for 3 months and you write 85,000 words that make some kind of sense." And he hasn't written a book yet because he can't do it, and that's okay. You know, we can't. I don't do what he does.
I guess it's a combination of like, well, to answer the question seriously though, I mean, what JD likes to say is like, because he works a full-time job and he does all his his writing and still does, and the thing that he always says is that put aside an hour a day. Just an hour a day. It's like you can find at least an hour, and it's like, and dedicate that hour to just working on whatever it is you want to work, whether it's writing, whether it's drawing something, whether just an hour. And then it's like you kind of start scheduling around that hour.
Right.
And hopefully, and the idea is to do it consistently, like an hour every day or every other day. But the idea is to do it consistently. So then at the end of the month, you might actually have half a comic done, or you might have, a first draft done, but or even if you're just halfway there, that's halfway more than you were when you started. So
that's right. Yeah.
So either way, it's like, start with an hour. Now about your wife though, you're going to need to talk to her. It's like that requires a little communication going, honey, I need this hour. I need to concentrate, and I need you to understand what I'm doing. But that's a more personal thing.
As I said, I'm lucky because Helen's an artist as well, so she knows exactly what's going on. And I mean, I'm on this now, so I think she'd probably rather I was downstairs with her now. I don't know what she's doing. I think she's doing some artwork. But this is why you're attracted to people, isn't it? Not necessarily in a creative way, but you find you like being with people, but they give you space as well. So
right, yeah.
That's what I find.
I'm married, and as far as creation goes, there has been she's pretty supportive of it. In fact, I think sometimes it gets off, at least for her, it's become it's become catchy because now she's writing comics.
There you go.
And she probably figured, if this idiot can do it, so can I.
Why not?
But I've seen it backfire. I've seen people who want to get in this business, and the funny thing is, I've seen it on both sides. I've seen a lot more women do it. Like, they don't want their, hey, what are you doing? I want you to spend time with me. But I've seen men do it. There was a young lady who was at the con, and she really wanted to get in the comics, and she was talking to Randy about stuff, and her significant other, the man was with her, who's holding their child, couldn't have been less interested.
Right. Yeah, I see that a lot of shows. Yeah.
And she was really interested, and I don't know if he was, more scared, because she was cute. She was cute and bubbly, and she's like, "Oh my God, I want to do comics, and and she was amazed by the art and flipping through everyone's books. And he looked like he looked like she would look at a basketball game.
Yeah.
And but I know some people who they can't get their creativity going because Daphne had mentioned, like, you got that spouse who what are you doing? What are you doing? Come upstairs, help me. I got a friend right now who told me he was I hate to say this, but he said that he was working on his comic And his wife comes downstairs. Oh, well, yeah, his wife comes in. She says, "Hey, I need help with the baby." And he says, "Well, I'm working on my book right now." And she says, "Well, the book can wait. I need help with the baby." Now, this unfortunately was a baby that he had told her, when they first got together, he didn't want to have kids because he wanted to do this comic book thing. And she had sworn to him, "I can take care of you both." That was her. I can take care of both of you. And now she has to take care of both of them. And no.
They kind of both lied to each other.
Yeah, big time. Big time. So now he's upset and he can't put his comic out. And she's she doesn't want to put the book out, or she does want to put the book out, but she doesn't want. She didn't. She told him. He told me about he told me last year. She had told him, this is back in October. He was telling her because he's finally printing this book. When cons come back, I don't know. I don't know why you're excited for cons coming back. You're not gonna be able to go for 3-4 days, to go to a Comic-Con. I don't know why you're excited. And he feels type of way about that, Daph. He's
the easy answer is have you considered therapy?
Have you considered just being reasonable?
No.
Let the guy do it.
Remember that question you asked us the other day, where the wife was jealous that the husband was working on his comic while she was sleeping.
Yeah.
It's like, have you? How about therapy?
on a wider scale, nothing to do with comics. I knew somebody who was a businessman, and he had his own business. He had a carpet business, so he's going around and he's actually fitting the carpets as well, and he's doing really well. And they lived in quite a nice house, and his wife drove a nice car and all this, and they had holidays to America and things like this. And they got divorced because she wasn't happy because he wasn't at home. But he was at home getting the money to live in that house, to go to America, to drive a nice car.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of compromise. It's like when you're creatively trying to swing it back to the comics topic. It's like when you're the only creative one, and the other person kind of just like tolerates it, like, oh, it's just a phase you're going through or something. It requires a lot of compromise, but it also requires a lot of boundaries too. Like you have to be not afraid to make your boundary, I mean, it's and therapy if you need it,
I had a first wife.
Right.
Had it first.
It is like I had a first wife.
I had a first wife. Yeah.
She's good.
Lasted for 5 years. Yeah. My wife is an avid reader. She reads like 20 times more than I do, 5 times faster than I ever will. And she, like during the lockdown, she was going through a big, thick paperback a day. Boom, 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 boom. Just
I haven't
constantly.
done that since grade school.
But she got the habit from her mom, and we inherited her library when she passed.
Wow.
So we have a third story, technically the second story, because I'm in the basement of the house, is now a library of her collection. She was an avid paperback reader and read a lot of different people and in order and whole sets of everybody's writings. So she was going through one author at a time and going through a lot of those books. But she swears to me, which I know better, but she swears to me she doesn't have a creative bone in her body. Because I've tried to get her to sit down and write something. She's read so many stories. I'm sure she could come up with something. She just doesn't want to do it. But that's her prerogative, But she understands my, creating. In fact, especially with the commercial work, she'll throw me down in the basement, pretty often. Go downstairs and work. Especially when she wants to watch something that I don't want to watch, or she watches the nightly news, and I'm sitting back here commentating. That it drives her crazy. So go to the basement. Go work. She used to throw me out of the house too, back when we were first married. and have me go do research, take a sketch pad and go out and draw people.
Sooner or later, it's going to be, go stream. Go online and stream. Go talk to Varian or something.
For a while there now, it's been, you're going online again? You're talking to your friend again? Are you going to get any work done? It's like, I am working.
Right. Yeah.
About work. I'm letting people know that I know stuff about work so that when I do my work, people will go, oh, the guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's that weird line that we that we walk.
Now I'm having a hard time scheduling time to read because I've got a stack of books that I absolutely want to get to and want to cut a day off and just do nothing but sit and read. All of these crowdfunding books, I've spent more money on comics this year than I have the last decade. I mean, buying comics and crowdfunding books. I've hardly scratched the surface on reading stuff that I want to get done.
And you've got to find some more money tomorrow when Daphne's is launched.
Yeah, I know. Tomorrow.
I still haven't bought your Comics Unlimited. I need to get that as well. So
I don't know. It's going to be too late. Going to be so far behind. It's going to be irrelevant.
Well, I'm just glad there's Amazon. At certain times, glad there's Amazon. I stopped being a Prime member, so now they decide they can ship stuff to me in 8 weeks after I order it. It's irritating.
Oh, is that what it is? 8 weeks?
Yeah,
that is for me.
No,
I don't know what it is for everybody else. Whenever I ordered something,
and he says once he cut Amazon Prime out, it's like he can't get anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
8 weeks.
8 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay $13.99 for the privilege to get stuff in 3 days like I used to.
No, you don't.
It's just ridiculous. So I don't order from Amazon unless I have to.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I didn't. I got rid of a lot of Amazon stuff, but I didn't get rid of the business Prime account.
Well, you
And
need
and I didn't get rid of the AWS where a lot of our files for like Indie Vote Radio and Indie Vote TV are stored. I didn't get rid of that, but
that's their like server cloud service.
Right. But a lot of other stuff I had to cut out because it just started getting. Plus, they nickel and dime you.
Yeah,
it's
of
like
course.
I was noticing. For instance, that first of all, my mother, I bought her an Amazon Fire tablet. The same month I bought her an Amazon Fire tablet, she started noticing these strange charges on her card from Amazon because you have to put your card on there. She started noticing these strange charges, $8, $9, and and she, what is this? Like 2 times in a month? She's like, I don't have this, and I told her, I said, you gotta be careful because sometimes you'll click that, or if you let my son borrow your tablet, he'll click that reader thing and doesn't realize after 30 days they're gonna charge you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what happened to my wife too. Where she started getting.
I think that's how I joined Prime.
Yeah, she started getting $8,
$13.99 was coming out of my account.
Yeah, and I find that I'm still because I'm like, what made me suspicious is that I got charged $10 for Amazon Digital, but so did my wife. I'm like, well, what is this? We wouldn't have both had this service. What the heck is this? I think Amazon. That's how Jeff Bezos became a millionaire. $10 at a time.
Yeah.
I get $10 from all these people. I'll be a billionaire before the end of the week. I should learn how to do it.
Marv says he thinks about Jack a lot. I respect Lee, but what he did to Kirby, they were friends. Well, there's a history there, Marv. Yeah. There's a nice, interesting history that needs to be explained in detail. In Empyrean Volts, Dan Fraga does the drawing with no construction lines. It's kind of amazing to watch. I also saw Peter Hand do it at a live demo. Yeah,
we had a friend that could do that. Like he was doing that in high school when we met him. He was just like at 15, 16, he already had that confidence in line, and it was just like. The tragic part is that he doesn't draw anymore, but it's like, it was just like, you could die watching him, just draw and just anything, you know. And meanwhile, I'm here suffering from decision paralysis.
I saw Johann Vasquez, the guy who created Squee and Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. I gave him my sketch pad one time, asked him for a quick Squee, and he at San Diego, and he took a magic marker and plopped it on the page, and then looked at me while he was drawing. Just looked up.
Yeah, that muscle memory.
How you doing? How you enjoying the show or whatever? And I'm like, and there was Squee. It was done. It only took him like 5 seconds. Boom, 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 boom. Here you go. But he had it in his head, just like we were talking about Jack. I saw Sergio Aragonis work the same way with a groove. It starts with the nose, shoom, and just works its way out. No guidelines, no nothing. Oh, you wanted a groove? Boom, 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 boom. Here you go. You know, just amazing to see artists like that work.
On a side note, though, it's like if anybody, it's like once this whole nonsense is over with and you're able to travel and you come to New York, you have to hit up the Continuity Studios. That's Neil Adams' studio, and it's actually open to the public because it's also a gallery. And if we went there, and I guess it's like not a lot of people know about it. So the receptionist was actually like, "Oh my God, people! I can show them the gallery." And to see Neil Adams' work in the flesh, in person, up close and personal, all the whiteout, all the paste ups, you know, it's like the funny one was a cover that he did. I think it was like Superman versus Muhammad Ali, and the audience was all filled with famous people.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that you could see where he covered up, like replaced people, because I guess DC couldn't get rights to their likenesses at the last minute. So he had to draw different people on top of them. And you see the rubber cement. I mean, literally, it's like I came home and I had to lie down for a while.
Well, why would you not want to be on that cover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like with the Beatles, isn't it? The Sgt. Pepper cover with all the famous people, all the people they admired.
And again, though, you were still talking about funny books. It's a kiddie book. Superman versus Muhammad Ali, and Muhammad Ali wasn't without controversy.
No, neither is Neil Adams.
Yeah, that's true. We forget. Well, at least I forget about that. It's like, You know, but
any chance you get to see original sequential art like that in a gallery, it'll change your perception of things. If you haven't seen an original Hal Foster Prince Valiant under glass in a frame, that's a sight to behold. They had a original art exhibit pass through here in Flint, because we have a big cultural center that does those kind of displays, and they had an incredibly small sketch that was manila yellow pencil sketch of Superman by Schuster. I believe Schuster was the artist.
Yep.
I always get them mixed up. I'm sorry, but you could tell what it was, and I'm like, and it was really small, up on the wall, high up, and you were like, "Oh no, is that really what?" Oh my goodness. That's awesome.
It's like that's like I said, in general, I have nothing against digital art. I mean, it's just another tool. It's another way that we can work efficiently and whatnot. But there is something to say about looking at original artwork, like
especially a piece that you know.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like the things. It's like with Kirby. It's like I didn't get it until that one day at Florida Comic-Con, and they had actual Kirby pages on display, and I was just like, at that moment, it was like a light bulb moment. Like I got it. You know, that, and seeing all the snarky editor notes on the margins.
Yeah.
Because it's like I'm looking at this and I go, did these editors look at the same thing I did? I mean, that I'm right now, and it was just like at that moment I understood.
It's like music, isn't it? When you buy a record or an album, whatever you call it, and you listen to it, and it's fantastic. But when you go and see the people live,
right,
it's a different thing. And you know, we all listen to the records later because we can't see these people all the time live. But when you go and see them live, it can be the make and break of it, because I've seen people that I really like on vinyl on the record, and the live show was rubbish. Yeah, well, not rubbish, but not very good. And I went to see I went to see people like David Bowie and Stevie Wonder and Elton John in the 70s and 80s, and they were absolutely fantastic. The shows are amazing. But now, when last time I saw Elton John, he's turned into a busker. You know,
I'm not sure what the terminology means. Busker?
A busker. Somebody you see on the street playing a guitar.
Okay. That's the first. Honestly, it's the first time I've run across that word.
Right, busker.
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 Okay.
Busker.
All right.
And it's like a person, like you get people on the subway in New York, don't you? And they're playing the guitar.
Sure, yeah.
And people are dropping them $1 or a couple of cents and stuff like that. That's a busker. Well, which is obviously a very amateur musician, and they sit down there because of the acoustics and make $10 and go home. But that's what Elton John, in my opinion, has turned into. He's been touring for 50 years. He's just retired from touring, hasn't he? He must be so fed up of singing those songs that he just gets through it, and he cuts the melody short and the words short, and it's like he can't be asked doing it. You know, can't be bothered doing it. So don't do it.
Yeah, I went to see Moody Blues, and I had to go see them in concert because they were backed by a full orchestra.
Wow!
So I'm like, this is going to be incredible. Sat in the audience, and they played everything fast, like instead of like 2/3 time, it was like 3/3 time. The only song that they didn't slow down on was "I'm Just a Singer in a Rock and Roll Band," because you can't slow that song down, or speed it up. But everything else was horribly sped up to the point we were going, no, don't do this. Don't do this. You're screwing up your own song. Just stop. Don't do it.
You know,
what was funny is that it's like just hearing that, it's like, oh, that was a very deliberate decision, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because they knocked through their greatest hits in no time at all. But I'm sitting there going, stop this. Just stop it. Because
but just the fact that the only song they played normally was that song. I'm just a guy in a rock and roll band.
Couldn't speed it up.
Well, also they're telling you something. They're telling you, don't take this too seriously because I'm just a guy in a rock and roll band.
But if I wanted to hear that music in that way, I'd have taken the full album on the record player and played it at 45 instead of 33 and 30. That's almost exactly what it was.
I have the opposite. of that. Because my generation. And I see we have Russ Leach and
Russ Leach in the house. Hello, Russ. How are you?
Hello.
Thanks for coming on.
Sorry for being late.
Oh no, you're never late on our shows. Never.
I have this other.
You show up exactly at the time you need to.
That's right.
That's the one. Yeah.
I have this other problem. Okay, so there's a group called Fifth Harmony. It's a group of female singers. I find myself liking the videos a lot more than I do just hearing them on the radio.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, for some reason, like, show me the videos all day, not just because they're all attractive, but because I think maybe it's because I was raised in that video generation where it's like, show me the video. I've gone to a couple of different concerts. In fact, I was on MTV once because I was in the crowd at the Lincoln Park. They had this thing called a $2 bill tour. They would go around, charge $2. You never know who you're gonna see though.
I knew I recognized you.
Yeah. You would recognize me from that video too, because I'm up in the bleachers at what used to be called the State Theater here. Now they're giving another name. It's the Fillmore now, but downtown Detroit. But as you look out upon the crowd, there's this one little dark spot amongst all of these
15-year-old white girls. And they're marrying.
Yeah, and it's like what's going on? Is this me? And they're Lincoln Park rock, jumping up and down, and looking back on that video, I'm like, oh, there I am. Look at me. Not lit properly. Like they didn't bring the right lighting equipment. It's like, come on, guys. You can see me. You can very vaguely see me, but I should sue MTV for that.
But what's funny? It's like this whole conversation actually relates to what we started off at the beginning in terms of, the difference between, the thing about the comic strips, about your friend saying he doesn't like comic strips and a lot of comic art because, oh, it's too simple.
Yeah.
And it's like, and the thing is, though, this is the equivalent of it, because what happened is that, you know, it's like they don't understand the economy of trying to produce so much work in so little time, you know, that the economy that it requires. So here in music, what we're seeing is that they're trying to cover that economy with this overproduction. So it's like, because people still want to see, they want the spectacle, but they don't want to see the reality of just how much you have to strip down in order to be able to keep pushing out so much product. So by the time you just want to listen to the music, you realize that, oh, they stripped it down so much in favor of the spectacle. I think some Image comics come to mind when I think
the analogy is some really garish coloring.
It's like they stripped it down in favor of spectacle, because people are distracted by the spectacle, so they don't see, it's like, oh, that storytelling's lacking, the line work is actually not that good, and or whatnot, So
I mean, go ahead.
Sorry, if they paid decent money for proper art, then maybe I'd learn how to paint. But we all know what the page rates are like.
But I think also it's part of like what I like to consider the Walmartification of culture, where it's like, like people don't have an appreciation for the amount of work we put in. All they think about is like, well, I can get this cheaper at Walmart. Or it's like, or I can get this someplace else cheaper, but it's like, yeah, but I'm not Walmart.
Varian and I were on a podcast last night where he had somebody write in that was almost that exact same attitude.
Yeah.
I'm a designer. I'm not an artist.
That was actually, I was very happy Daphne wasn't on.
Oh,
because
I'm sure we'll bring that up at a more convenient time.
I was happy she wasn't there because she would have went off.
It's like Varian's always trying to goad me into making more rant videos.
Contrarian Vol says, I love Joanna Lumley.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Yes. Nine Realm says, good morning, all. Marv says, thank you for answering. I'll see you on the replay. Wish you a wonderful 2021. Be safe. You too, Marv. We wish you only the best. You only get married for the first time once. That's very true.
So try to get it right, at least.
Well,
if you
get married young and you quickly discover what you don't like in a marriage,
right?
Or in a marriage partner, and the next time you get it right. So sometimes artists who draw with confidence are drawing the same image repeatedly. John says. John's got a hard animation background where you have to draw the same image repeatedly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Grant Lankard. Good morning, Grant. Hope you're doing well. Cameron says, can I listen to the song? No, you can't. It's there. It's just knock around free use for a while. I don't even remember what site I pulled it from. In fact, we had a copyright notice on it. Right. And I had to go back. It took me about an hour or so to actually find where I found the song, because I was surfing through so many free use sites in order to find it. So, but it's out there. So anyway, simplicity in
British comics, Randy.
Say what?
British comics.
We were gonna. I brought a bunch of British comics that we were gonna talk about, but here we've been talking about everything else, so it's all going on. There's a copy of Only Death Can Save Us, which
that's a British comic. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah. That's a British comic.
Absolutely. So we can't wait to see that. So
any moment in time to show it, that's what I'll take it. Any opportunity.
But I'm a big fan. I grew up as a little kid watching Thunderbirds on television early in the morning before we ran off to school. My brothers actually sat there with a coffee table and notebook paper and sketched out schematics and did their own versions of the models from scratch, literally from scratch. In fact, they were their hardest part was trying to bump out an old oil tin can. In order to get the right half circle shape for the pods for Thunderbird 2. Wow. So, and my biggest complaint on that is they took my sandbox and turned it into Tracy Island, which was a problem. But They built up the whole house and the sliding swimming pool and everything, and had a Thunderbird 3 that was amazing. I think my younger sister ended up with that. Both my older brothers sat there and they had a great a 1 and a 3. They never started 5. 2, they could never get together because of that drum, but they had the whole Tracy Island done up.
Wow.
Pretty much with the built up mountain and they should have. I'm sure there's pictures of it out there. Kurt probably has it. Kurt went on to do a bunch of Star Wars droids later, like within the last 20 years or so, 10, 20 years. He went to one of my shows where I was doing Flint Comics and met the 501st, which is a Star Wars reenactment group, and called me up the next day and said, I'm going to do a R2 unit. And I said, cool, go ahead. And then he went up online and found all the R2 builders group. Everybody's, real seriously exchanging parts and where they can get this molded at and that done and this molded at. And within a year, he had an R2 unit.
Wow.
Running around. Then he made a, what's his name? Not Scrapper. Made the robot from Rebels.
Oh, Chopper.
Chopper. Yes. Yeah. Made that, had the second physical copy of a Chopper running around. That anybody had ever. Yeah, actually, he even had the side of the head where a hand would come out and wave, and then poke back in the head, and the little door would shut. But yeah, it's amazing to see the influence that kind of work would carry on. I as a kid, I loved Captain Scarlet on Saturday afternoons, and when Star Wars kicked out, I ran across the old fan magazine, fan films magazines, what it was called, because back when A New Hope first hit the theaters, back when it was Star Wars and didn't have a number to it, you were just eating up any tidbit of speculation long before the net.
Oh yeah.
Every magazine that came out, if it had Star Wars on the cover, you were going to pick it up to try to find out if they knew more than you knew, because you wouldn't know all about this show. So the between, I think it was after Empire come out, the Fan Films magazine, I still have the magazine around here somewhere, ran an article in there talking about 2000 AD, and I'm like, this is incredible. There's a weekly comic that comes out over in England that has got science fiction stories, IPs in it. That's a magazine I wanted to read, so I went around and hunt them all down when I was a kid, and which was really difficult to do as a kid from the States, because all that stuff was imported at the time. And right. I was lucky to find 12 issues here, 20 issues there, 100 issues there, and just go around and start, picking them up. I never did get any of the earlier ones. I think my first issue was number 12. But when money got tight, I ended up selling them all to a collector because he needed. We all do. Yeah, but I had them pretty much in order. But nowadays, thank goodness, you get all of these fantastic collections of the 2000 material out. Unfortunately, they don't do an archive where they do every prog. That every issue they would call a prog back then. But there are some incredibly large, pretty much like the old DC Showcase Presents or the Marvel Essentials volumes, where you get all of this great merchandise or all these great stories all jammed in like 500 pages, but one character at a time. This is Rogue Trooper. This is one of the English books there that collects Rogue Trooper. I think it's the first set, and I'd have to tell you, but there's a ton of issues worth of material in it, because every segment of the book that ran in 2000 AD was 5 or 6 pages long, but it was weekly. It was serialized weekly. So there's some really incredible books out there, some great sequential art that a lot of people, especially here in the States, have never bothered to read. That's just phenomenal. Yeah.
Randy, when you were a kid and Thunderbirds was on, did you get TV 21? I know you've got some issues now, but was it on sale in America?
Not that I saw.
The VHS,
no.
Not VHS. There was like the one weird channel.
It was always the independent station.
Right, yeah.
That would carry for us. The ABC affiliate had it syndicated early in the morning. And we'd get up before we caught the bus for school and sit there and watch it. They'd run it Monday through Friday.
I think you're different. Are you talking about the comic TV 21?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, it's
Okay.
not.
Oh, no,
No.
The comics, I didn't run across the comics
bit
until quite a
confused.
while later. In fact, I ran across the graphic novels of them, or the collections of them with this phenomenal artwork. And then I started finding the TV 21 issues at shows. Let me blow me up here.
There's some gorgeous art in there. Like,
Just phenomenal stuff.
Frank Bellamy.
By some of the best artists that they could find at the time. It's all beautiful artwork. And the cool thing about it is the majority of the time when they would draw the characters, and this one didn't quite like Bellamy did. I don't think this is Bellamy here.
No, it's not.
But when Bellamy would draw it, it looked exactly like the puppets.
Yeah,
The characters did. And that was really cool to see. Let me find a Bellamy here. I know I've got one. That's the same guy. That's a little closer. But there's so many of them out. Yeah, I'm sure this is.
I think the other artist called Don Hanley or something. The one that not the Frank Bellamy guy.
Yeah. And then they would kick out. That's Bellamy. That's not exactly a. I'm pretty sure that's Bellamy right there.
Yeah,
He's got a very distinctive look to his work.
it's
Just
brilliant.
phenomenal stuff. Yeah. But I ended up collecting all the volumes I get my hands on of that material because it's not just Thunderbirds, but because Frank Bellamy had done it. And
Yeah, and did you get the Garth ones as well?
just crazy. I've got a couple. I don't have all of them, but I also ended up picking up Stingray.
I think one of the most fantastic things about Frank Bellamy, I think, is the way that if you want to see how to use color in a comic, look at Frank Bellamy. But also, if you want to see how to use black and white, look at Frank Bellamy's Garth.
Yeah,
which is absolutely incredible, considering it was reprinted in the Daily Mirror, was it, Russ?
yeah.
And it's so small and everything, and he does all those little dots and squiggles and everything. It just works. It's just beautiful work. It's beautiful.
Gorgeous. Yeah. Something I was watching the other day talking about. I mean, look at that. Look at the spot blacks.
Yeah.
Just,
Garth is a time traveling character who goes all over the place. Here he's in the Old West.
Yeah.
just jumps off the page. Beautiful.
Oh yeah,
Beautiful work. Yeah. Does he do the lettering as well, Russ?
I couldn't tell you.
I think
couldn't
he
tell
did.
you.
Because that's
It
really good as well.
wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he had an amazing.
back then a lot of those
style
scripts
and
were
everything.
one or two man shows. I mean, they might have hired somebody to fill in the and spot the blacks more than anything, but the majority of it was all
Yeah,
one
but it's
person
just
or one person and writer.
I think
even if
it's
you got-
all Garth.
Oh,
It's all
sure.
Frank Bellamy.
even if you got someone to do that, he had to tell them where to do it. I mean, just
I don't
brilliant
think he
brilliant
did.
stuff.
I think he did it.
No,
all
I
himself.
thought he did the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Garth material isn't reprinted very much here in the States, and you don't see it hardly anywhere. But
It's actually difficult to get hold of.
is it?
Well, I found it difficult to get hold of.
Well, I picked this up at one of the shows. This was an amazing little format. It's like the old Garfield
Cool.
comic strip books.
Hello.
That was a lot of fun out of the Daily Mirror at 1976. So that's how old that is.
Yeah.
But that also isn't. Some of that material isn't meant for U.S. consumption. I mean, general audience U.S. consumption.
The stuff you used to get, really. I used to remember flicking through papers that my mum and dad had hanging around and looking at things like AXA.
Yes.
Which is, beautifully drawn. And what was the couple's name? It wasn't George and Mildred. It was somebody else. I can't remember. It was like this couple, and they always had their clothes off. They were always chatting in bed.
I know what you mean,
And the kind of stuff you flick through as a kid, and you didn't even think about it.
And then you've got Ron Embleton doing Wicked Wonder.
Yeah.
I think that was in Playboy, or was it in one of those books, wasn't it?
Yeah, my mum and dad didn't have those.
No, mine didn't either, but I've seen it. I think one of my elder brothers had it.
Those are,
that's the one. Yeah,
either your uncle or your grandfather.
Yeah, my elder brother, I think.
I always got it for the articles. It was always for the
Of course,
articles.
yeah, excellent articles.
Well, another strip that started up in my local paper when I was a kid that I didn't find out until a little bit later was English. Was Jeff Hawke.
Wow.
I don't know if you ever saw that
Is
material.
that
Yeah,
Holland
seen that,
cover?
yeah.
That's who?
Is that a Bolland cover?
It is. It definitely is.
So
Yeah.
you can just 100
It-
paces. You can see a Bolland cover.
Yeah. Well,
Amazing.
Titan went through and did a bunch of reprints. You can tell
Yeah.
there's
Oh yeah, I've
they're
got loads
listed
of
on the
those
back.
series.
That's
That's before who is it that's got hold of it now? Rebellion. That's before Rebellion got hold of it, and Titan were reproducing. And I have a bunch of that stuff from 2000 AD.
Yeah, they were doing some incredibly tight, just beautiful reprints. And there's a sample. There's a little bit of white line zipatone, I believe, being used here. Some great zipatone work.
Look at that.
Zip on that.
Wow.
And as a kid, this was very influential on me, especially considering this was coming out through the Flint Journal. The only at the local paper, the only adventure strips that they ran was this and Alley Oop, and both of which I'm a huge fan of. Look at that. That's white line over here.
Yeah.
That's a white line zip over a solid black field. That if you get up close enough to it, you can probably tell there's a graduated tone there just to drop it back, make it look like it's on a video screen. There, yeah. And each strip was numbered at the bottom, which I couldn't figure out what that meant until you get a bunch of them in order. But my brothers also were into that, into strips. So they would take alley-oop comic strips out of the paper and glue them on grocery bag pages and put them in notebooks.
Yeah.
So they had one of the early, strip collection books that I remember as a kid. They would use white flour paste, and every couple of weeks or so, they'd paste up pages.
I used to cut Garth out the mirror and put them in books and color them in.
Oh, no. Yeah.
That was a mistake. I should have just left them alone.
Yeah. Another great set of strip reprints that you never see very often here in the States, and my Titan reprint book's gotten a little moisture on it, is Modesty Blaze.
Yeah. Fantastic Modesty Blaze, yeah.
They used to run that in the Detroit Free Press for the longest time. I tried to get it to reprint it in my paper, and they wouldn't let me have it. They would sell it to me in Spanish if I wanted it in Spanish, but they wouldn't sell me the English versions of it. So then there was a while we were considering doing that and running translations along the bottom of the strip, but we figured it would just take
I think my editor Tim might have actually been editor on Modesty Blaze for a while.
Well, a lot of this is incredible stuff. The character idea is phenomenal. I got to double check on these as well, because some of these have mature content detail to it. But
I mean, sometimes it's such a drag that the United States as a culture is just so uptight like that.
Yeah.
That we just have to like, oh my God, like, boobs.
Just over 10 years ago, when I was publishing Crikey magazine, I interviewed Romero, who drew AXA and Modesty Blaze as well, and he told me that when he got some of his when he saw the artwork reprinted, that the newspaper that he was doing it for had actually employed another artist to make his some of his women less beautiful.
Wow.
So
crazy. I mean, but it's funny. It's like that's the reason why when I started like really discovering European comics again, that it really is a completely different sensibility.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that, it's like I started trying to like incorporate a lot of that into my work recently, only to find out that's like, I can't do that here.
This is what I was telling you about the Druna volumes that aren't available here. Have you seen them, Russ?
No.
The
Druna.
I forgot.
DRUNA.
DRU.
I bet you if you saw the artwork, you'd recognize it.
Druna, you would do.
I would show you, but then we'd get.
But you can't because it's pornographic.
Yeah, we're on Facebook and YouTube, and
it's a guy called Serpieri, and he's out of Italy, and it's absolutely brilliant. And it's like, as I was saying earlier on, it's a bit like the articles in Playboy. The line work is wonderful. It's just what the lines add up to that is a bit dodgy. Right. But somebody I know had them taken off him at the airport coming back from Italy.
Wow.
I don't think they're on sale here. but the art, the beautiful work.
Yeah, I know. It's frustrating.
The style and everything, the color, and all the design. It's up there with Bellamy and these people. Ron Embleton and these people. It's
amazing work.
How can you have art taken off you for censorship? It's just utterly regressive.
Yeah.
But not for nothing though, because it's like it could also be that they were taken on, because I've dealt with I used to deal with a lot of customs, going in and out of customs a lot, and you sometimes you get those custom agents that do that just because they want. Not because it's they'll make up like, oh, it's not allowed in the country. It's like, yeah, because it's in their book collection.
It's allowed in your library, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of what sets up British comics to be the way they are, to be this kind of halfway house between, the American pop culture and European art.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that's why some British comics, like you look back in time, some of them were magic. And like TV21, which I didn't discover until sort of the last 10 years. I didn't even know it existed. But also, going through Eagle Comics but as recent as 2000 AD, and some of the more recent 2000 AD, some of it has been quite good. A lot of it I'm not so keen on. But
please keep the conversation rolling. I have to step out just for a second. My doorbell rang for.
Oh, okay.
Bing bong.
There we go.
It's
right. Could be.
So
I doubt he's 45 minutes away from me. Hang on.
He's been on his way.
So yeah, I think there are some magic things about British comics.
No, for real. It's like when I first discovered, it's like most of my I started in comics kind of late, or at least like more mainstream comics. As a kid I grew up with kids comics, which were rather ubiquitous, and it never occurred to me that it's like, oh, this was comics. No, this is just something we were reading, that the entire family was reading. And then only later, probably when I got into high school, that's when I really started seeing more mainstream comics and understanding it's like, oh, the medium can do more. And I had a Forbidden Planet near school.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of where, it's like I saw my first Judge Dredd there. And it was like Brian Boland. It was the Judge Death cycle.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah,
you can do this. You could do this. And the thing is they managed to do that in a comic that was acceptable, certainly at the time it was, for 11-year-olds. When you think about it, there was no blood, there was no gore. There was a hefty amount of violence, okay, but even then it was masked by the art. There was just something about it that it was acceptable. And you talk about kids comics now. Kids comics are Paw Patrol, okay. Back in the day, certainly in Britain, British kids comics have always been a little bit anarchic. Okay, you look back at Dandy, you look back at like the Bass Street Kids or any of this stuff, and it was always a little bit. It was always a little bit odd. Yeah. Okay, so growing up having comics, it seemed a natural thing. Yeah, it was quite rough and tumble. So it was natural to work. Sort of you'd read something in the Dandy or the Beano or whatever, and then you went on to Judge Dredd. It was kind of like it was a natural progression.
Of course, yeah. We're just talking about censorship in a way about the Druna stuff and all that. When I was doing some comics in the 80s, I'm a sort of a person. I'm not into sort of blood and gore. I got this script to do, and he wanted me to show this guy being stuck by a sword. This guy was sticking this sword in his chest. And I thought it's much more effective if you go the like the Hitchcock way in Psycho, where you never actually see that knife go in. You never see any impact. You see the result, but you don't see the impact. There's no blood splattering everywhere. I know it's going down the drain, but I would imagine if you were in a shower and somebody was doing that, there would be a lot of blood. But Hitchcock puts it in your mind. It's a suspense film, not a horror film. It's suspense. It's in your head. So what I did, I drew this panel, and I did these two guys have this like a sword fight type of thing, where one guy disarms the other, and then the script said was to show him being run through. And I thought, I don't want to do that. So what I did the guy on the floor like that, with the sword just resting on him. The guy with the, and you knew what was going to happen.
Right.
But when I sent that page in, I had to redraw it with the sword going in and the blood. And I thought, that's not right. That's not right.
Yeah.
I thought my way was far superior. Put it in people's minds, it's don't show it.
It's just very funny how it's like Americans have gotten to the point where they need everything spoon-fed to them.
I think that applies to the world. I think.
Yeah, I think you might be able to blame your compatriots in the early days, but it's become everybody now.
Yeah, exactly.
Subtlety.
There was a debate somewhere about Kirby being a very violent artist, and I don't see it as violence. I see it as action.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends on it kind of depends on the current day acceptance of what they consider to be violent. I mean, Mary Whitehouse thought that Tom and Jerry was violent.
Right. It's like Gore thought Twisted Sister was, just blurring the lines.
Yeah.
And this was like probably like 10 years before I guess gangster rap or whatever the actual terminology is came onto the scene.
Yeah. But Kirby was
not that mind you, not that rap was doing that either. It's just comparatively Twisted Sister seems
exactly. But even with those caveats, I can't see how Kirby is violent.
Yeah.
So
no.
But I think what's been lost of these days is we touched on this earlier, is actual storytelling as well.
Mm-hmm.
The comics and films, especially films, they're very glossy. I know a guy who goes to see 3 films a week, or did before COVID, and he would, when you were talking to him about these films he'd seen, he would base it on how many explosions there were and how many people were shot and things like that. So he could never watch a film like Solaris, with George Clooney in.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame.
He can't watch that because nobody gets blown up, nobody gets shot, nobody, he couldn't fit that kind of thing in. So it would be. I mean, he loved Saving Private Ryan, but he couldn't work out the bits in between. They get off the beach and then they talk, and then one gets shot, and then they talk. He can't wait for the action and the violence, and well.
I can't watch Clooney either because his head wobbles too.
Oh well.
I think he's good in that film.
It's like a preference problem.
But I know what you mean.
I'm very shallow, and I do like crap films.
Yeah.
So I love a film that is just all sort of, like Pacific Rim. What a load of crap!
Oh, look.
Totally enjoyed it. Okay, it's like
robots, monsters.
Yeah. Kong Island or whatever it is, the one with Godzilla and Kong. Love it, absolutely love it. But I do totally understand what you mean. At the same time, you look at something. Let's just pick something contemporary out. It's like Lord of the Rings. Okay, that had stellar visuals, but it still held on to the story, and there were quiet times, and there was well done. It was well done. It was good storytelling, and I loved both ends of that. And you really got to have a balance, and being spoon fed all the time. What it does is it stops it kind of teaches the populace how not to consume a story, because they're just getting it fed to them all the time in that way.
Did you watch Jason and the Argonauts, Russ, over Christmas?
Oh, was it on? I didn't see it. Is that the old one?
The only one.
I didn't know if they'd made a new one or not.
We only have one guy.
I love the Ray Harryhausen.
That was the first film I saw without my parents.
Oh. I
was 8 or maybe 9, and I went to a friend's birthday party, and his mother packed us off to the cinema. Excellent. And that was on. And I'd be about 8 or 9, I can't remember. And that was the first film I saw without my parents. It was on the other day over Christmas, and I just had to sit and watch it again.
Yeah,
it's absolutely brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
The skeleton fights,
that
did me.
Yeah.
And I just hope they don't remake it, because there was a rumor the other year I heard that they were going to remake 2001. How are they going to do that?
They're going to remake everything eventually, because nobody's got any new ideas.
I have.
I don't
I
know.
know, yeah, you
I
and
don't know
me
why
have,
they would-
but
I
they
don't
ain't
know
gonna give us the money to make it.
No.
So
You
You know,
That's
so
right.
it's really funny because, like, because they redid Clash of the Titans, and what's really funny is that how they stripped the new movie of like everything that made the original Clash of the Titans epic.
Yeah.
Like it really lost its epicness, and it's
Yeah.
like, and they don't understand that it's like part of the charm, part of it is Harryhausen's work and
Yeah.
the way they move and the fact that, yeah, okay, it looks fake compared to CGI now, but man, I could stare at that all day. I could
but
Yeah.
there
watch
was real tension.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned in the
Uh-huh.
chat, Cameron,
Yeah.
tempo, and there was this tempo, there's tension, and it sucks you in. Those certainly the first one of the remakes of Clash of the Titans. If you've never seen the Ray Harryhausen film, they weren't bad films. They were
Right,
just,
as long as you
know,
don't know the reference point.
exactly. But to call them the same thing,
Yeah, it is.
it's kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
It's
like,
interesting.
it's not the same thing.
With that Solaris thing, because the original, is it Tarkovsky, the original film from the 70s? It's in Russian subtitled and all that kind of thing. It's a brilliant film, but it's nothing like the book.
Mhm.
I don't know whether you've read the book, but it's nothing like the book. And thankfully, the Clooney wasn't a remake of the Tarkovsky. That's a different film as well, but it's the same story, but it's a different. So you've got three versions of a classic there, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And like I said before, I heard a rumor they were going to remake 2001. Well, how are you going to do that? I mean, that's in my mind, that's the best film ever made. How are you going to top that? Put a few explosions in it and have one of the monkeys with a machine gun or something, or what are you going to do?
I was going to say there's no real way to remake that, and
Yeah.
because Kubrick is no longer around.
Yeah,
Because that, just like with Harryhausen, he had his own very personal perspective, his own very personal vision. You could tell most of the time, you could tell what a Kubrick film was just by watching a scene, and you go, "Oh, that's got to be Stanley Kubrick,"
Right.
But that film was so slick. I mean, it's like before computer generated animation, they had Disney do the computer animation, and it's just done so damn well, and the models and everything. It's like it's a pinnacle, and it was done so early on.
Literally,
and it completely it's iconic for not just for its content and its storytelling and the music, but just the way that it's made. It's so iconic. So to try and recreate that, you're always going to be on an uphill journey. Because you're never gonna beat it, even if you technically beat it. I don't know, in the special effects area, because you're not going to beat it in the direction.
No.
Even if you technically beat it in an area, you'd still never beat it. And then what would you do? Would you change the music? The music is integral to the story. You just can't do it.
You know how Kubrick came across that music, don't you?
No, I don't.
When he was watching the rushes after the end of the day, when they're editing, he would play the Blue Danube and all that stuff. And meanwhile, this guy, I can't remember his name, he's writing the score for it. And so he gets when they played it, and they played it with the Blue Danube and all that stuff, he said, "We've got to get the rights to this music because this is the music." And the guy, it's only just been released. I've not heard it, but it's just been released like 50 years after he wrote it. This guy, and he was really pissed off about this. I mean, you would be, wouldn't you? He spent 6 months writing a score, and we're using this 200-year-old stuff.
But would you necessarily have remembered it? I mean, that piece of music, Blue Danube, has been with the human race for how many years? 200 years, 300
years, must be.
So it's kind of embedded. And so to have something like that in a film is embedded. It really is embedded. So as much as we love Star Wars music and what have you, for something to be as poignant as Blue Danube in that particular moment would be very, very difficult for a new piece of music.
It would be. Let me tell you a quick story about 2001. When people ask me how many times I've seen it, I always say whatever the number is then, and a half, because when it came out, when I went to see it in 1969, I think it was, about 14. I used to play football a lot, and soccer to you Americans, and this little kid used to come round. John, he was called. He was about 10 or 11, and I was 14. And I was just about to go to the cinema to see this film that I'd waited a year to see. I'd read the book, all this publicity. I've got to see this film. And he knocks on there's a knock on the door just as I'm leaving, and it was John. And my dad said, I can't play out, John. I'm going to the pictures. And he said, oh, well, take him with you. I thought, oh God. So anyway, we went round to his house, and his mum and dad said it was okay. So I took him to the cinema, and I'm there mesmerized. And there's an intermission in this film. And there was originally, there was an intermission, and he's 11, and he said to me, it's 9:30, I've got to go home.
Oh.
So I had to take him home. I had to go halfway through the film.
No.
I had to go back the next night, and I'm on the way back. I was doing everything except physically striking him, saying, "Don't you come round tomorrow night? If you come round to my house tomorrow night, So I had to go back the next night and watch it all again. So I've always got a half on. So I've seen it 50.5 times. Don't befriend young kids.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. Don't do that, everyone. That's a good message.
Man.
Good adaptation by Kirby on 2001, though.
Yeah,
Seen that one. That's fantastic. And that's excellent. I've got that somewhere. I've not seen that for a while. I have to dig it out now.
What was the one that he did? Was it Argo?
Yeah.
Where he did the one that had the face on Mars before anybody
No, that
even
was
discussed the face on Mars. What was that?
That was the fake story that he did for the
Argo was the fake story.
Yeah, that was
the face on Mars. I'm not sure it was in Journey into Mystery or something about 1959, because it wasn't until 1976 when Viking landed that it photographed from orbit that we found that face, and he's drawing it like 15 years before anybody knew anything about it.
There's that many. I've heard a lot of kooky theories about. He was in on something.
Maybe he was just.
Maybe he was just a visionary, which is particularly what we think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Channeling imagination.
Good.
Go ahead.
I don't know. Just maybe that we're just all too creative for our own good.
Or maybe we're just creating the universe around us.
Yeah.
There we go.
And things like the face on Mars and Kirby and finding stuff out there in the middle of nowhere on a big telescope.
Well, I think there's a great
universe is just the universe poking us to say.
Yeah, I think that there's a great line in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. At the end when the spaceship lands and they're all getting off, and they're playing that keyboard, and the tunes on the keyboard.
Yeah.
One guy, when they're all getting off those pilots, flight 15 or whatever it is, get those pilots getting off. One guy turns to the other guy and he says, Einstein was right. And he says, Einstein was probably one of them.
Yeah.
So
that's a good line. That's a good line, yeah.
Yeah. I thought, wow, yeah. Somebody knows what's going on. But, so maybe Kirby was one of them.
Yeah. But
like you said, Russ, maybe we're all one of them.
I think we're all part of that.
Yeah. Wavelength electrical charges and imagination. Look at what they say about Tesla or
Tesla.
Frank Lloyd Wright is another example. He would sit there and do architecture in his head, and then just
Have you seen The Prestige?
Yes. Yes.
Well, when David Bowie's Tesla, isn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that guy Hugh Jackman goes to see him, and he gives him his top hat, doesn't he? And he moves it, but he doesn't appear in the right place. And when he goes out, he does it again and again and again. And when he goes outside, there's 500 top hats in a pile, and he says, "Don't forget your hat." And he says, "Well, which one's mine?" He says, "They're all yours." Which is really mind blowing, isn't it?
That's a great film, and you got to watch that. That is a very good film, and it's got a lot. It's got a lot of meta as to what is life? Who are you? Where are you from? How does that work? Even though it doesn't answer any of that, it kind of prods at it. And it prods it when you're not expecting it, because obviously you watch the whole film and it's like this kind of battle between the two main parties, and then it ends up in this I suppose a science fiction spectacular.
Yeah.
It's like wow.
I wish that
Yeah, if you're into like just explosions and stuff, you have to sit down and pay attention to
Yeah.
this.
I was totally blown away by the end of that film. I wasn't expecting
I wish
it.
they just had David Bowie being Tesla all the way through.
Yeah,
the film.
that's what made the movie for me too.
Just get rid of the other stuff. We don't need that. Let's just watch David Bowie being Tesla. You know.
Yeah. Let's get him communicating with the aliens. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I'd rather we be accused of being aliens than just saying we're all mentally ill.
Marion Vole says the only bad thing about playing Thunderbirds as a kid was someone had to play Brains and someone had to get stuck playing Parker the chauffeur.
Well,
Parker's got the best part.
Yeah, he did. That's just classic material there. There are no girls here there to be Lady Penelope in my neighborhood. Yeah.
oh well, it happens.
Stingray had the greatest theme song.
Oh yeah,
Everybody has their favorite theme song.
the end theme is the best one. Marina. That's just wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful.
It just takes me back straight
Morning.
away. Listening to that.
Yeah, doesn't it? Back there. All of that material is available on streaming if you hunt around for it. Fireball XL5 and Stingray. I'm not sure where Thunderbirds is, but
on Netflix, I think.
sure a lot of that stuff is around. Just please don't watch the Jonathan Frakes
No, I've never seen that.
mess that they called Thunderbirds. It's not the same thing, and it'll really knock down your appreciation for Jonathan Frakes as a director as well.
I
Has
thought
he done
Cameron.
anything since?
Pardon?
Has he done anything since Jonathan Frakes?
I think he's done some Star Trek, hasn't he?
Only television.
Yeah. So it ruined his career.
We don't know why they won't invest in him for a feature film anymore.
I never saw that film.
He likes to do a lot
No, I've
of
never seen it.
conspiracy shows and cartoon voiceovers and stuff.
I'm sure he's working, but
He's still working. Plus, his wife's on General Hospital.
Oh,
on a-
sorry.
all right.
I don't think he's worried about paying a bill.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
No. But he is an excellent director. It's just that movie is something that should have never existed in the first place.
Yeah.
I think I've not seen that movie, but I think that Patrick Stewart would make a better Hood than Gandhi, whatever he was called.
Too much action is saturation.
It depends. I mean, there are people who do it well, and there are people who do. It's like anything. It's like you can have too much of something.
I thought he was talking about us when he mentioned the Druids.
Oh,
Harryhausen. I just rewatched Golden Age of Sinbad yesterday. Yeah. All the Harryhausen material.
Is that the one with the Cyclops?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's that's the
The
baboon.
golden bull, the golden bull, I think.
Yeah, the baboon in the cage.
I think so. Oh, that might be
they're
Eye
on the
of
ship.
Tiger. I think that might be Eye of the Tiger.
Is that Eye of the Tiger?
Yeah.
Isn't that Rocky?
Harryhausen did so many really good. Did a half a dozen, probably 3 or 4 Sinbad.
Yeah, they're all great. Love them.
Plus, was it 90 million miles from Earth? It's also amazing. It came from beneath the sea. I think with the giant squid wrapping itself around the Brooklyn.
And then it was the western one with the dinosaurs.
That's just what I was thinking. Yeah,
the Valley
of the Lost or something.
Like that. No,
Valley of the Dolls.
No, that was
That's a different
That was
film.
Russ Meyer. That's a completely different show.
Yeah, and it went
for Western out there that he did the effects for.
It went down the same line as King Kong. You felt sorry for the Tyrannosaurus at the end, even though it had eaten loads of people. You still felt sorry for it at the end. I thought that was great.
Oh, and correction, that was beyond the Valley of the Dolls. And
Not the same thing. Not the same. The Kirby 2001 adaptation eventually introduces both Machine Man and Devil Dinosaur. Yeah, it went wildly off script. Well, yeah, but that was Kirby.
You can let him get away with that.
That wasn't really 2001, was it? That was it was a different thing.
Kirby just used that as a springboard for a lot of his movies.
when like everything was unabashedly fantastical. That is like unapologetic. Just go for yours.
Talent is the beast's favorite food, the dragon's bard. What is that? It's the one with Tom Baker. No.
Oh, that was where he was a wizard. He was the bad wizard.
Tom Baker was? Yeah.
They're brilliant. Love that film.
That's
like you say. I think I'm thinking of several different films.
Yeah, I know. I think that's the one with the flying mechanical horse.
Is it the Seventh Voyage or something? Seventh Voyage of Sinbad or something? And like you say, there was the Eye of the Tiger one, but they were all great. You just sit there on a Sunday afternoon as a kid.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just love it.
Everybody needs to dig those up. There was a DVD set of the Harryhausen and Sinbads that was out not too long ago. I remember picking it up. Yes, there we are. The Valley of Guanji.
God, Valley of Guanji. Oh, look at you, Imperium Bowl.
Classic film. You just have to. It's like what Russ was saying. You just have to take a rainy day or a big snowy day out and
exactly
in front of the TV and enjoy the awesomeness. Yeah, just incredible stuff. Well, folks, we've hit that time. It's time to tell people where they can find you. Russ, let people know. Actually, you should introduce yourself to the radio audience.
regular viewers will have seen me recently, so they know who I am. You can find me on YouTube as Comic Book Black Belt. My YouTube channel has all kinds of stuff on there. I've got interviews. I've got process videos, so how I produce my comics, and reviews and that kind of stuff. Breakdowns of art I've done for different publishers. You can also find me at russleach.com or comicbookblackbelt.com. You can find out about my new book, which is going off the print tomorrow. This is the proof copy. Only Death Can Save Us. You can find out more about that at onlydeathcansaveus.com, and you can still sign up and get a copy of it. I'm in demand on Indiegogo at the moment, and the link is there on the site. You can also find me on the Twitter, on the Fleecebook, on Instagram, and on Parlay when it works.
On Indiegogo, that's Only Death Can Save Us. Definitely take a look at that. It's like what we keep saying. It's one of those products that as soon as you see the campaign for, you just have to buy in.
Yeah.
That's cute. Daphne, let people know how they can find
yes. So if fantasy comics is your thing, you can go to egoworks.com, EGOWORKS.com. And if you prefer more action-oriented fantasy, you can go to talltalesonline.com, TAILS, where you can read both my comics for free online and sign up to get regular updates about my upcoming Kickstarter starting tomorrow at noon. Yeah. And if you're also into art tutorials, demos, and the occasional rant commentary when Varian can goad me enough into one, you can find me on YouTube at Daphne Lage, Lage Art.
Awesome. Glenn Fleming, let folks know who you are, how to get hold of you.
I'm Glenn Fleming and a writer artist. You can get me on Facebook, Twitter. I don't have a webpage yet, but you can contact me via email on comicsunlimitedmagazine@gmail.com. That's it, really. I'm like I've said to you before, I'm trying to get around to build my website again because it was hijacked a while ago. But not by Serpieri, but similar. So yeah, just Comics Unlimited Magazine at gmail.com.
Awesome. I'm sorry to cut into you there.
Okay.
Imperium Vol says if you get a chance to look up Harryhausen's illustrations, they are amazing. He wasn't just a sculptor. No.
Yeah.
Right.
No one is just a sculptor.
Right, yeah.
No,
I assure you.
Cockney is awesome.
Cockney. Gore blimey, Governor. I don't think I count as a cockney. I'm not from that part of the world, but I'm not too far.
Glenn Ford said it's been a good show. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks so much for listening. Varian, are you there?
I am.
Want to tell people how to get a hold of you?
Sure. I just want to remind Russ that remember Rocket Raccoon used to be Cockney.
Rocket? Did he really?
Yeah, he used to, and smoke. He used to smoke a pipe. And...
Yeah. Then they changed it. Yeah.
I guess Cockney is kind of like how everybody thinks New York. Everyone in New York talks like they're from Brooklyn.
Hey, how are you doing?
Bradley Cooper. So.
Everyone talks like that. Yeah.
But can I just cut in? When I first went to America back in '78. Some guys in Dallas asked me if everybody wore a bowler hat in England. I don't know anybody who's ever worn a bowler hat.
Well, not for nothing. I had my cousins in Brazil always thought everybody in the United States wore cowboy hats. So I guess that's like everywhere.
Yeah. You guys can find me on Twitter at KYD_V. On Facebook, Varian Grant. Check out indievolt.com, which is the website, home for IndieVolt online. IndieVolt TV, IndieVolt Radio, all those good things. IndieVolt TV is on Roku. IndieVolt Radio is on Google Play, Alexa, as well as if you have an Apple phone, you can download Stream and type in IndieVolt Radio and find it. And then, of course, Last Call Comics, my company that I publish through. And then that I'm forgetting. Oh, lebg.us for comic book distribution, independent comic book distribution. And that is it for me.
Awesome. Right. And everybody, I've been your host. You've been listening to the Sunday Funnies for December 3rd, 2021. I've been your host, Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Facebook under Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Twitter under Randy Zimm. I do the Zimm Geek channel over on YouTube. That's ZIMMGEEK for cartooning instructionals and an occasional opinionated video, which there hasn't been enough of up there lately. There, hopefully this year you'll see a lot more content. At least that's the plan. You'll find us here at Indie Volt on Tuesday. Well, actually, our Indie Volt schedule now has a Monday show at 9 p.m. where we have Michael Oden and Dreaded Dinosaur Eric Hodson talking about digital comics. And it came from Webtoons, and that's at 9 p.m. On Tuesdays, we have our standard Indie Volt podcast, our Livewire podcast at 9 p.m. Then on Wednesday, we have Geekgasm that is co-hosted by Daphne and Meredith Logren, as well as the Indie Princess, who will be taking over the hosting reins on that as soon as she feels better. And that's media and comics from a female perspective, hopefully. That's Geekgasm on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Then we're back for the Breakfast Buzz on Thursday at 9 a.m., where we talk about comics in the industry with hopefully with coffee in hand as we caffeinate up for the day. And then again, we'll be back here next Sunday morning at 9 a.m. And all of those times have been Eastern Standard Time for another episode of Sunday Funnies, where we try to talk about the more lighter side of and whimsical side of comics. And honestly, folks, especially here in the States, if you've never seen any of the 2000 AD material or any of the English reprints, especially the great reprints by Titan that are amazing, whole books on a lot of different things, a lot of chunks out of 2000 AD, a lot of strip reprints. If you get a chance to find Modesty Blaze out there, it's available on Amazon, or the 2000 AD material. 2000 AD has got so much more than just Judge Dredd. Because if you haven't read Strontium Dog, if you haven't read ABC Warriors, my favorite side story that ran through 2000 AD is Flesh, which they're going to make into a movie one of these days. As soon as somebody figures out how awesome it is, they'll end up making that into a regular feature film. If not, why the streaming services haven't picked up on all of this material just confounds me at times.
They're busy canceling all the shows after the first
season. And doing dumb and unimaginative things. But a Strontium Dog or Rogue Trooper or Robo Hunter series is way overdue on any of these streaming services. I've gotten really close with Judge Dredd a couple times, doing that as a regular streaming series. I wish they would do that as well, because that work is so amazing. So, and not to mention Garth, Dan Dare, the other amazing work that you can find from Great Britain. And a lot of times, if you've got a really good retailer where you're at, who has a large backstock of material, if you take a little bit of time and run through their boxes, especially their magazine boxes, you might find, or their trade paperback collections, you might find something unusual, like who's ever heard of Jeff Hawke, go through and find those, or Thunderbirds reprints. You'd be amazed at what's sitting in those boxes at an incredibly low price, because a lot of these retailers haven't gone through those boxes in like a decade or so. You might even have to dust them off in order to get into them. And there's a lot of old gems sitting at your retailer waiting to be bought, especially right now, because their stock is so thin and the new books coming out are so sporadic. They really could use your help and patronage. So please hit those if you can, and please come back and listen to us. Jump on the YouTube site, like and subscribe. You can always reach us at IndieVolt live at indievolt.com. Send us a letter, a comment, whatever you need to do, and we'd love to address that on future shows. So remember, there's no situation or comment too silly, too serious. We love answering questions, and we love pointing and laughing when we have to. So until next time, everybody, I think that's it. Anybody has any last words? Am I forgetting anything, Varian?
No, not at all. I think you covered everything.
All right, then. Until next time, everybody, we'll see you. Any last words from anyone?
Yeah, can I just say that I'm covering a lot of these British artists in future issues of Comics Unlimited. And issue 5, which is out in March, is got Frank Bellamy, and then I've got Ron Embleton and Mike Noble, and mainly the TV21 artists.
Sweet.
So there's articles on those with lots of artwork, and it's just absolutely fantastic stuff.
Well, there you go.
Is that to be my cover?
Say again?
Is that me?
Yeah, sorry. On issue 5 in March, Russ Leach, my good friend who's a Cockney.
Cockney?
Not really. Has done me
Really?
Yeah, he's from Brooklyn. Yeah, he's drawing me the cover of issue 5, which is out in March, and I've not seen it yet, but I know it's going to be good.
And like how I stumbled across 2000 AD was off of a magazine. Definitely pick up Comics Unlimited. You'd be amazed at what's in there, and a lot of stuff that you might not have ever heard or seen of before.
And they're on Amazon. You get them on Amazon.
And they're all available on Amazon. Yeah. Comics Unlimited, folks. All right, everyone. We will talk to you soon. We're going to go out the same way we came in with that song everybody was wondering about. And we'll talk to everyone shortly or soon. Take care, everybody. Stay healthy.
Bye.
See ya.
See you soon. And thanks again very much for listening in to the Sunday Funnies.
I hope you're having a nice holiday season. I really do.
Yay! Think about what you've accomplished.